I would never say you could go do that. I'm sorry. It hurt me more to tell you not to go because for me, the price that what could go wrong was more than what I was willing to happen.
Hello, family. Chef Lorious here. Welcome back to Calibama Talking, the podcast, where we talk about everything we can think about and then some. I am Chef Lorious. I'm everybody's auntie.
And I'm Mama VJ, the community grandma.
My mama looks good today. She's shining and sparkling. Go ahead on, cutie pie.
You so silly.
Yes, I am. Thank you. That's so sweet.
Okay, just go ahead and raise that hallelujah.
Raise it. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I'm going to raise it up. Oh my gosh. It's so beautiful. The weather has been lovely here and I've just been enjoying it. You know what I'm trying to do? Okay, my house. I love my house. Love the Love Lab, but I'm trying to talk my husband into building me a deck.
Oh, you know what? I can hardly wait because you know what that means? We can have barbecue steak.
That's the reason I want to do it because I want to grill outside. And so I was saying it around the kids today. Well, okay, let me back up. The reason I'm thinking about it is we recently had our bathrooms redone and our contractor had to come back today because we had a little problem with one of the sinks. And whenever he comes, I always tease him and say, we're ready to get started on the deck. And Aiden's like, what are we going to do with that, Mommy? And I said, we'll go outside and barbecue. And he was like, oh, that'll be cool. And Maddie goes, no, I don't want a deck. And we said, we'll all be outside and you'll be inside. And she said, yes, please get the deck. She wanted to watch Hallmark uninterrupted.
Well, I was so excited about a deck until I picked my condo because it had the bigger deck and it was on the front. And then I realized, because I'd never lived in that kind of setting, that I couldn't put barbecue on it. I couldn't put a grill on it.
Yeah, you can't put a grill out on a condo deck on the 4th floor. I'm sorry, Ma.
Not with a deck apart.
Not with somebody above you. You can't. But that's okay. It's going to happen because I remember when Shane and I used to live in our townhouse before we moved here. We had the best deck ever. And he would grill the best. I might be Chef Lorious, but don't get it twisted. That man can cook.
You know what I liked about that deck?
What?
Was in the morning. Yeah. I always told myself that I'm going to go out and I'm going to read the Bible and I'm going to sit out in the sun. I didn't do it that much, but it was always nice when you went out there and would sit out there. Actually, you had 2 decks.
Yeah, it was an upper and a lower. That upper one, the table was beautiful and the grill, I kind of spoiled myself with that grill. Anyway, it was awesome, but I was just thinking about that today and I just can taste Shane's ribeyes off the grill and we would, oh Lord, I'm going to raise this hallelujah. Whether you give me the deck or not, but I'm going to really raise it if I get it. Please, Jesus. Do it, Lord. Okay, Mama, I have a topic for us today. For those of you who are remembering or if you're new, whatever. The life topic of the day, I don't tell Mama what it is ahead of time because I don't want to give her time to curate her answers. I want to hear the pure, unadulterated truth as it flows out from your belly, out of your belly.
Flows rivers of living water.
All right, are you ready for this one?
This sounds silly.
Okay. Today's topic is, this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you.
Oh, and I never subscribe to that.
And other lies we tell our kids. This is going to hurt me more than hurt you. That's not true.
I never subscribed to that.
You never said that to me either, actually.
Nope. Because it's no such thing as me hurting you. Mm-hmm. It's hurting me more. No.
I don't know. I think you might need to. Well, I can make an argument that something hurts me more than it hurts the kids, you know? Okay, maybe not. I think they're different kinds of hurt.
Okay, I can buy that.
That's it. It's different hurt.
Yes. Well, it hurts me to see you suffering. It hurts me to have to let you go through things.
Right. But when they're little, that's when you have to actually correct them on things that when they get older, you can say something to them, but they don't have to listen. They don't have to listen to a little either. Well, yeah, they
yes,
do.
they do.
That's when it hurts them more than it hurts you. But when they're little is when you really find that you have to do these, I don't know. I find that it takes a lot of time for me to have to explain things to the kids. And sometimes I'm just like, oh, can they just get it? But I remember you're not born knowing. And that's part of my job as a parent is to, when something happens, to teach them. And sometimes I don't think I've ever used the line, this is going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you. But I do understand the sentiment behind it because, like you said, you hate to see your kids suffering or any pain.
Well, they usually said that when they were about to hurt you physically.
You whooped me.
Yeah, but that's because you didn't want to practice your piano.
It doesn't matter why. I'm scarred because of it.
And I've apologized for that too. I'm really sorry I did that.
We're kidding, guys. No, okay, not about getting whooped. I did really get whooped, but I'm not still scarred by it. I tease Mom about that sometimes. But no, you were actually a good mom. You were cool. I'd keep you. If I had to do it again, I'd pick you again.
I think this topic is hurting me more than it's hurting her.
Okay, well, let me help. Okay, so the concept though is when I say other lies we tell our kids, not like just outright lies, but we say stuff to our kids. And I say stuff to my kids to get them sometimes to do what I need them to do. And they're not really lies like I'm attempting to deceive them type of lies, but I'll say things like, I'll do some stupid ones. Like, I used to tell Aiden that if he ate green beans, his legs would grow long. If he ate broccoli, his hair would get curly, and
oh, that's just stuff.
But he would do it. And I'd say, here's some green beans. Oh, I want my legs to get long. And he would eat them. And that's the kind of thing I would say. And it worked for a while.
That doesn't even fit in anything.
They're long green beans. How does that not fit?
No, that doesn't fit in.
Oh,
that's just, okay. To me, that's more like you're just telling. It's humor. Yeah, that's just anecdotes.
It's an anecdotal
just story. Something you're just saying. But on the line of it hurts me more than it hurts you. Generally, my mom would do that sometime. And I think she was hurt more than I was hurt. And she would always say no.
Yeah.
My mom was very fearful of things. And because she was fearful of so much, for me to go out to do something really hurt her. So while I was hurt to stay in.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's, you just brought up a good point. And I think the way of saying, because the way we titled it is, this is going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you, and other lies we tell our kids. I think sometimes we say things and we don't mean, and again, when I say lies, I'm not trying to accuse any parent of being deceitful. It's more about just talking about the balancing act in parenting of having to say something to your kid that you really, don't, I don't want to say don't want to have to say to them, but something that you wish you didn't have to say to them, or something that you recognize the impact of it and it hurts you to see it. It's hard sometimes, like if my daughter, let me go back different. When Richard, my oldest son, would want to hang out with his friends, when he was a teenager. And a lot of times I would say no. And the reason I would say no is because, in full disclosure, we live in the suburbs and there are not lots of people of color where we live. And historically, unfortunately, the system is not as fair to boys of color as it is to other boys. And I was always concerned about what could happen with him hanging out with his friends, because, what for them could be a slap on the wrist for him could end up being something much larger. And so it was very difficult, though, having to say, no, you can't go out. Well, why not? Because I want to do something else. When the truth was, I was just worried about him, and I had to exercise some judgment as to whether or not to let him do something. And that was hard because as he got older, even in his teens, I could say to him more, easily, like, look, dude, I wish you could hang out with your friends. And you guys are welcome to come over here and do something, or you can go over there and do something. But the boys, we just want to go to the mall. Well, no, I'm not just going to let you hang out at the mall. And that might be over parenting or helicopter parenting to some of you hearing this. But for me, it's a legitimate concern as the mother of a young man of color, his safety. And that did hurt me, though, to have to say that you can't go with your friends.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes, I know.
But I feel like it was the right thing to do.
Oh, if you didn't, I would be here just about choking you. I mean, let me just be fair. When you raising a kid of color, you've got to make sure that he's safe.
Yeah.
And he is not safe in the outside society. I don't raise him in fear.
Right.
But I have to also know that I have to be take precautions. It's sort of like you can decide that there's water out there.
Mm-hmm.
It was a statement my grandfather used to make. My dad told me this statement. And my grandfather would say, son, if you don't want to drown, stay off the banks of the river. Okay, yeah. That's one. Mm-hmm. But the other one would be, then you need to learn how to swim.
Yeah.
And that's the difference here. You can be with your friends, but you know what? You're not going to go to the mall and not have any structured reason for you to be in the mall.
Yeah, that's just asking for trouble.
I mean, the reality is teenagers with no directions get in trouble.
Lots of it.
Now, then, I mean, they all can go play in the water. I remember something was happening in years ago. These kids were all hanging out, and they went up to the American River Bluff. Mm-hmm. And it's where you raffle and all that stuff. And they were playing, and they decided to swing across, and everybody
like whitewater rafting and stuff.
Where you do, yeah, okay. But they weren't whitewater rafting. They were doing something silly,
okay. Mm-hmm.
At that particular place, and so they were all kind of running across. One of them drowned.
Oh God! Oh, that mother's heart.
Yes, all the other kids, all of them did it.
Right, but yeah,
it was too much. I was never saying you could go do that. I'm sorry. It hurt me more to tell you not to go, because for me, the price that what could go wrong was more than what I was willing to happen.
Yeah. Now that's a good piece. The side of what could happen, and I've had people say to me, especially when it comes to safety around raising a young man of color. And I'm saying that to be politically correct, even though there are some people who say we shouldn't be politically correct. I think it's okay. My point is though, they'll say, well, you should just pray over him. And I do. I pray safety over him. I pray Psalm 91 over him. And I believe that he's covered. I believe he's protected and he's safe. I believe the devourer is rebuked. I believe that everything the word says and every promise that is made to me and my family and to my children and my children's children and my children's children, I believe and I expect. But that doesn't give me license to be foolish.
Exactly.
And that's where sometimes the thing gets off with kids is, well, you know what? You shouldn't be scared. Just pray Psalm 91 over him. Okay, I do. And I also know that he needs to be home if he's not going to have a specific activity planned. And that sometimes is a difficult thing, though, because you hate seeing your kids hurt and you just have to be, I don't know, it's just hard. You have to be the parent.
Well, it's, yeah. The one that always get me, the one that I always would tell people, don't make kids lie.
Lord, yes. You always said that.
I remember this situation where this kid did something. And what he did was not the best thing. It wasn't the best thing. Uh-huh. And he got caught.
Oh.
So I'm talking to him. I'm saying, did you do this? Mm-mm. Well, unfortunately, the kid said to me, yes.
Oh, that's the worst.
I didn't know what to do.
Lie to me, child. Lie. Say no.
That's when I realized that we say things to our kids that don't make sense.
Wow, that's true. And you know what? You and Daddy you guys were like that with me. Now that I think about it, you wouldn't put me in a position to lie. I remember one time when I got in trouble about something real, real bad, and you didn't say, did you do it? You said, why did you do it?
Yeah.
Because you knew I had done it.
Right.
And that actually does take off the pressure sometimes of setting the kids up. Did you do this? You already know they did it. What, you didn't spill flour in the kitchen. Obviously the kid did it. So just to say, sweetie, how did you spill the flour? And let's clean it up and talk about it. But you guys were really like that with me. And I actually appreciate that. It does make it easier when you can just, I know you did it. I don't need to set you up to lie.
Right.
Because then I got to punish you for lying.
Or if you then said yes, then I got to punish you because it feels like you're being arrogant.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you ain't even ashamed. Oh, you like, yes, I did it. Oh, okay, that's where we are. That's a whole nother punishment. I'll tell you one area though that hurts me, and I recognize this, especially having a daughter. I have two boys. A son's on the bookends. My oldest is 25, my baby is 8, and my daughter in the middle is 12. And it's funny, raising boys and raising girls are very different. And I discover a whole lot of things with my daughter now that she's in puberty. I remember things and discussions we had.
Oh, okay.
And I understand a lot more of some of the things you were trying to explain to me at that age. And I remember not understanding them. And I remember thinking you were a killjoy. And now I remember saying, now I've learned that must have been hard for her to have to say that, to figure out how to do, like, for example, I was a very mouthy young lady. I know that's hard for everyone to believe. I've been demure most of my life. No, but I was mouthy as a kid, especially as a teenager. And you would say things to me like, you can't say everything you want to say. You can't mouth off to every situation. Just because you think it doesn't mean you have the right to express it at that time. And some people say, oh, and I'm thinking, I can say what I want to say. I can express myself. Just because you don't know how to express yourself don't mean I can't, all of that stuff. But then as I've grown up and now I have a daughter who's a little mouthy, not in a bad, she's not a disrespectful young lady, but she likes to talk and she has opinions and thoughts about things. And she's 12, so they're still being formulated, and when she'll say something, I have to sometimes say, sweetie, you can't say that out loud. No, sweetie, you have to wait till you get home and talk to me about that. And sometimes I hate to see her little face deflate, like I can't say what I'm thinking. And it's that, no, it's not that you can't say what you're thinking, but you have to learn where and how to express what you're thinking. And it hurts me sometimes to have to take my little flower and say, no, baby, come back. You know what I mean? And I can imagine how now I remember those conversations and things. Does that make sense, Mama?
Yeah, it makes sense. The thing is with kids, parents, yeah. When you have children, there's so much you want for them.
Yeah.
And what I found the most difficult thing wasn't so much about this hurt me more than it hurts you, is being able to remember that the child is a separate entity.
Yeah.
That was the most important thing. And that was difficult to recognize that the only time that you were connected to me was in the womb. Yeah. And once you came out, you were no longer connected to me.
In that manner,
you weren't. Mm-hmm. What I ate did not go in. From that point on, then you were a little independent being.
Yeah.
There were responsibilities I had for you, but those responsibilities was to bring you into adulthood. It was not to keep you and make you be a mini me.
And you know what's so funny is all my life I look like you. And I guess I always have. But that was one of the things growing up. And you didn't do this. I don't think you did. I don't know. Everybody always said, oh, you're just like little Francis. Everybody always was saying you were little Francis to me. And they called you Francis in our community and things. And it was weird to me because I felt that, and I don't want to say I just felt the pressure from it because I'm not trying to make this a negative conversation, but I'm 47. We've had this conversation, this type of conversation. I felt a lot of pressure that I had to be little Francis, just like my mom, and everybody expected me to do that. You know what I'm saying? Everyone expected this because I looked like my mom and I did this like my mom. And it just becomes this difficult pressure of finding my own voice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As an adult. And I look at my daughter and people sometimes will say to her, oh, look, she's your twin. It's little Lori. And I'll stop and I'll say, no, she's Madison. She's her own person. And when I say that, though, it's not because I don't want her to be, my little girl, but and it's like I said, this is not, you did this to me, mama, and I'm upset now. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I know what that can feel like. So I really try to give her space to be herself. I love to shine. I love rhinestones and gold sparkles and things. She's a sweats and t-shirts kind of gal. And I've gotten okay with saying, you know what, that's her. And that's okay.
Thank you for not being a sweatshirt and t-shirt girl.
I don't think you would have let me be a sweatshirt girl.
Oh my God, ours was pink.
Oh, see, now I did the pink thing to her too. Like you had me in pink, I had her in pink, but then she reached a point about, oh gosh, I guess she was about 8 or 9 when she was like, I don't like pink anymore.
I think it happened before that.
You think so? Might have been. I can't remember exactly, but she was, I'm done with pink. But I hated pink. Was that why? Did you do that to me?
I didn't know you did like pink.
I didn't at first. Oh gosh, but I bet it felt like that to you though in some instances because you were the oldest, and it was what, 7 years between you and your sister?
6.
6. How did it feel? Did you feel those kinds of pressures to be like Thelma or Lil? They called her little sister Lil. Do you feel like that?
The pressure I felt was not to disappoint her.
Wow.
So if it was going to hurt her, then I didn't do it, which then meant I just spent my whole life not wanting to hurt her. And of course, I ended up hurting her, but
not because she did anything wrong. Don't go get no bright ideas, people. We're just saying that in the natural course of living and growing up, you will hurt your parents. Okay. Except I didn't. Have I ever hurt you, Mom? Yes. I don't make your parents lie, just like they shouldn't make their children's lie. Yes, I've hurt you.
Just a little bit.
I've hurt you a lot. I know I have. I've gone through periods where there's periods of my life I'm not proud of.
Well, okay. Well, whatever. They're over.
See, this is the part I love about you. You don't hold these things against me, but...
Well, there was nothing to hold against you. I mean, you had to grow up. I mean, that's just part of growing up. I wish those things didn't have to happen. But growing up, things are just going to go wrong.
And you know what? It doesn't stop when you hit 18.
Oh, no. Actually, yours didn't even start until you were about 20.
In my 20s, yeah. Before it really started. That was when I really started trying to kind of, I don't want to say, how do I say? You didn't want to disappoint your mom. I didn't want to, I never worried about disappointing you. I didn't want to disappoint my grandparents, but I never worried I would disappoint you. I didn't want to cause you discomfort. I didn't want to cause you anxiety. I didn't want to make you hurt. You know what I'm saying? Or be worried. I remember it being in college and I got into something one time and I told you about it and you were like, I got to see how I feel about that. And you may not even remember this, but I said to you, this really has nothing to do with you, Mom. It's me. And you kind of looked at me and it wasn't a bad moment, but it was a weird moment when I realized it was just kind of strange. And I was like, I don't want you to feel angst over something I've done. I didn't want any of my behaviors to cause you angst. Does that make sense?
Yeah. We talked about this not too long ago. You said that you were more worried about me falling apart, about things that you didn't want me to fall apart. You said if things was really bad, you felt that I didn't know how to handle it, so you would kind of keep things from me, which is the thing that always hurt me, was because whatever was going on that you were determined not to let me know about, I was going to find out about it. Yeah. Always after it was a bigger mess that I had to deal with.
I've always wanted to take care of you. I've always wanted to protect my mom from hurt, whether it be hurt from people, whether it be hurt from my actions or anything. I never wanted you to go through something. And when I say I worried about you falling apart, it wasn't because I thought you were some weak little woman who was just piddly. I never thought that of you. I knew my mother was a strong woman, but I always saw you tried so hard. You put so much effort into everything you did. Always. And I always felt like it was never seen or appreciated by people, whether it be work, whether it be church, just in general. I always felt like you just weren't seen for what you were doing.
I wasn't seen.
Yeah, and so and then as I've learned is in life, anytime a person does things and it's constantly unnoticed or it never gets, it's never noticed, that does actually build up a rough bitterness in a person. And it's not because there's something's wrong with them, it's because it's natural. And I think what I felt like, this is just kind of looking back over years of things that I've thought about and started, you kind of start trying to put stuff together. I felt like you were so overlooked for all the things that you did that it rubbed raw a piece of you that would make you sometimes snap. Not because you were mean, but that's just what happens when someone is deprived of what just acknowledgement. And it made me worry and always try to take care of you and protect you. And I never wanted you to feel that. I always wanted to protect my mom. I didn't want anything to happen. I didn't want anybody to say anything bad about my mom. I didn't want you to talk to that person because they were going to hurt you. I didn't want you to have lunch with them because they were going to hurt me. I didn't want you, that was why I was very controlling of situations, because I just didn't want anything to happen to you. I didn't want you to have any angst.
In other words, you felt about me the same way I felt about my mom. It's the same thing.
Oh my God. You're right.
The things that scared her, I just didn't do them. Right. I mean, oh my God, my mom was just so worried about things. So you know what? I didn't date. Right. Yeah, oh my God. She would be upset if you walked home with a guy walking down the street. Everybody saw you. You got home and it's a 30-minute walk and you got home in 20 minutes. It still bothered her.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she was afraid of everything, it felt like.
And you weren't afraid, but you're right. I had the same feeling of protection because you would get anxious or worried about things. And then you would be like, or whatever, you were a busy mom. And I didn't like that. And there's a selfish side to it. I'm not just going to sit here and act like I was born a philanthropic child. I didn't like the way it made me feel when something upset you.
Oh, I know. I remember when you were 2, when I saw that. I was raging about my car keys. And as I raged about my car keys, you ran to the other room and hid. And I realized that's not good. Now, unfortunately, I stopped raging about the car keys, but I didn't get the principle and stopped raging about other stuff. And it just, over time I did.
Yeah,
over time, I eventually I stopped raging about stuff.
Well, life change. It's the pressures of life. And I look at it being in the stage of life now, I recognize it. Kids, school, work, church, responsibilities, marriage, all these things, family relationships, it pushes you to your brink and it does make you go, what? And as a kid, the kids don't know that. You know what I mean? So I guess that's kind of part of the lies we tell our kids is, what's wrong? I'm just tired. Well, yes, that's technically true. I'm tired. But the truth is I'm overloaded.
Yes.
And I can't handle it right now. And sometimes that does hurt me more than it hurts them.
Yeah.
That does.
Yeah. They want to do something and I can't do it. And the reason it's hurting me because I can't do it.
And I want to.
Yes.
But it's so weird when your physical body, I guess that's what Jesus meant when he said, my spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. I would love to play another board game, but honestly, I just can't do it. I'm tired. Wow. How come these conversations always go someplace different?
I don't know. You keep picking the wrong conversations. You should ask something else. I don't know what, but something.
Well, I can't talk to you about it ahead of time because you'll curate an answer for me. And I don't want your curated answer. I want the pure, unadulterated truth flowing from your belly.
Please get over it. Get over it, girl. Get over it. Anyway, being a parent, though,
that's hard.
It's work.
Yeah.
It really is work. And, I've been doing this thing about Keep Your Love On.
Yeah.
That is a good book if you're parenting.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, there's so many things that we need to deal with our children, and we need to develop trust with them, and we need to be truthful with them.
Yeah.
And we have a tendency to try to hide. I don't want you to see the part of me.
Yeah.
And I didn't want you to see that I was really afraid that you were going to move away.
To 3,000 miles away across the country.
Yeah. I didn't want that to happen. And I didn't. So then, what do I do? Then let me see, how can I control this?
Right.
And I thank God that I recognized early that I couldn't control.
Yeah.
I couldn't control you.
But you know what's interesting? More than you couldn't control me, because grandma was alive for a lot of time and she could control me. But what I did know, one of the things though, that you always did for me as my mom, and I've told you this before, I never felt that I would be abandoned. I never feared that you wouldn't be there for me. So whether it caused you angst and anxiety, I always knew that everybody else might not think I should move across the country. And that's a whole nother topic, is when I moved across the country. But I knew that my mom would be there for me.
Yeah, I kept coming.
We flew up, you flew up some miles.
Oh, believe me, I should have dividends coming from JetBlue
and United
Airlines.
But parenting is hard, and I look back, I look at my kids, and because of their age gap, my oldest is 25 and then my littles are 12 and 8. It's kind of like I had a do-over. And I look at the mom I was with my oldest son, and I can't tell you how many times I've apologized to him, because I just am like, I was at such a bad life place that I don't feel like I was present to be. He didn't get the mom Madison and Aiden have. He didn't get the fun mom who will do things. I'm still tired and I can't play board games all the time, but there's things with them that I will let them do, or I'll do with them, or just a way I am that's just different. And I feel bad.
Well, you were pretty rigid with Richard.
Yeah, I was.
Very rigid. Yeah.
It was a time in my life. It was where I was and what was happening. That is just, I was not in a good place for a lot of years.
But the other part of it, I chalked some of it. Yeah, you weren't in a good place though, but you would being on your own.
Yeah.
Being on your own, being 3,000 miles away changed everything.
Yeah.
Suddenly you had something that I never have dealt with, because my mom was always in town, and it was always the fight about who was in charge.
Yeah.
She was just
always
controlling about, and you do something.
She had a presence.
She had a very presence, and you didn't want to hurt her.
Yeah. And it wasn't bad. So we're not sitting here saying grandma was awful. No, she was wonderful, but she was a big woman. And when I say big, I'm not talking stature, because she was actually small in stature, but she had a big presence about her. She was the matriarch, and she loved all of us hard.
Very hard.
Very hard.
And she just wanted to fix everything.
Yeah.
And she couldn't let go. And even when you said, Mom, I don't want you to do that, that meant nothing.
Because she was
absolutely nothing.
She wasn't going to see you hurting. And she didn't care if you didn't want her to help you. She was going to help you because she knew you needed help.
Yes.
And for me, because it was weird, because even though I kind of you were my mom, but grandma was such a looming figure in my life because we lived in town, I had to move away in some instances to get some space.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But it caused my life to take some turns, in the situations that I ended up in, and relationships and things after that happened put me in a very awkward place. And I hate the fact that was the mom Richard got. I hate it because I wish I could have been in a just happier, relaxed place with him. But thank God, right? There's no condemnation. This is where the scripture comes life. There's no condemnation, and his grace is sufficient. Those things that I wasn't able to do because of where I was, God has actually given us a chance to have that relationship, even though he's older. And we can talk openly, and I can say, dude, I am so sorry that I was so rigid on you. I mean, remember I used to you had to fold all the shirts. They had to fit exactly like that. I mean, it was just, I don't know how I could have lived with me.
Oh, the towels had to be folded a certain way so that when you take them out, you hang them on the rod. The panties everything had to be just
very specific.
Yeah. And I remember that. But you know what I miss?
What?
What I miss from that one?
What?
Is that organized Lori to put some stuff away. I kind of miss that.
But it was indicative of where I was. And you know what you'll find a lot of times is when you feel out of control in your life, you try to control the areas you can. And for me, those areas tended to be how the towels were folded. And so I worked hard to control those things. And as life has gone on and I've grown past that, the truth, because that's one of the lies you could tell him. No, Richard, it has to be put away like this because da, 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 da. And yes, it is true that it is more efficient. But the truth was it has to be like that because mom has no control over what's happening, or mom feels out of control. And this is the only thing that's making her feel like she has some say in her life. That was the truth that I couldn't say to him then. But now, thank God, I'm able to say to him, man, so much was going on at that time. I'm so sorry that I was so rough. and so rigid on you. And I wish you could have, you know, I wish I could have been differently. And he's like, Mom, we went through some stuff. It's okay. I love you. I'm not mad at you. But it's just.
Well, you know, it was interesting. Now, I like the fact that your son gave you grace.
He did.
But you gave me grace too. I remember I worked I had a pretty demanding job. And so one day she was at preschool, and I had moved where I put her in preschool. It was near my job because I worked like 20 miles away from home. So I never thought that would be the best place to leave her in daycare or childcare, because if anything happened, it would take 30 minutes minimum before I could get to her. So I always had her. So she was always within 2 or 3 miles of where I worked. And so anyway, so one day they were supposed to have a field trip. And I totally forgot the field trip. I have never, ever, I still don't know how I forgot that field trip. So when I got to school to pick her up the evening, they all told me that I had missed the field trip. Oh. And they told me that Lori told them, my mom will be here, but if she's not here, it's because she's busy. She has an important job.
Yeah. I've always known that my mama has things to do. But you know what, the grace you're talking about, I've discovered it more as my children have grown. I understand. I think I was telling you the other day. Was it the other day I was telling you I said something, and we'll wrap this up. But I was telling you, I said, now I understand some of the things you said to me when I was that age, when I was younger. I get it now. I get why.
Well, you know, what's interesting is this is my little revenge. Uh-oh. We used to always talk, my husband and I would talk about, because Lori has always had a mouth. Oh my God. She had an opinion and a mouth. And I have to be honest now. For me, I think children should be able to express themselves. People look at me like, what? I said, but they have feelings. Mm-hmm. I think, there are certain things that are no-nos with me. Mm-hmm. And Lori, I can't remember what they were, but it was, not no-nos. Practicing piano.
That was a big no-no.
But generally, you know, just expressing your feelings just wasn't a big deal. Mm-hmm. So with that, I don't know. I remember though, when she got 12, she kind of expressed it a little bit too much one day. It was like that mouth just had gotten to me. Oh my goodness, that mouth. And I went, pew. And
you didn't just pop me in the mouth. You stopped the car on our way to pick up my carpool for school. You got out of the car in the middle of the street, leaned back, hit me in the mouth while I had braces, and caused my lips to bleed. I cried hot tears because you just got out the car, you hit me, and you got back in the car and kept driving like nothing had happened. I was damaged.
Oh, that's okay. I got to tell you something my littlest grandson did. He was in the car one day and he just would not cooperate. Mm-hmm. It was he and Madison and I, we were driving. Mm. And so I got off 28, pulled to the side of the road, opened the car door.
No, you didn't. Did you mess with my baby? He probably needed it. That boy got mouth, and he's intelligent too.
Oh, you know what he did? I just have to tell you, this is the part. One day, we were driving.
Yeah.
I had picked him up, and he was just being difficult. And so Madison was trying to tell him to stop, and he was telling her off. And so we said, we're going to tell. I said, well, you know what? I'm going to tell your dad. And he said, and I'll tell Papa on Daddy.
And that's his grandpa. Oh, wow.
So we keep driving, and we look up and we see you guys' car, and he says, oh, there's Mom and Dad. And he sits down, he pulls himself together. Now he's like 4. He says, I'm sorry.
He got sweet, didn't he? That boy is a hot mess. That boy is a hot mess. But you know what? Grace, that's what I'm hearing. Grace, giving grace to each other, giving grace to our parents, and then giving grace to ourselves to recognize who we are now. And, and just, I'm telling you, there's therefore now no condemnation. We take these scriptures and we just try to preach them on people for salvation, but there's an everyday thing there. There's no condemnation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There is no condemnation for whatever you did as a parent, what I did as a parent. It's where we were. I told a friend of mine recently, we make the best decisions we can at the time with the information we have available. And after that, his grace is sufficient.
Yes.
You know?
And therefore you don't have to go around saying this hurts me more than it hurts you.
Yeah.
You don't. I don't live in that place. Now it may be that that's one of my growths. The reason I don't remember it because I don't live in that place now.
Yeah.
I know that I can't control.
Yeah.
All I can do is give you the options so that you can make a better decision.
But that's also because I'm an adult. I've got
no. I learned again. We learned how to give Aiden.
Well, that's true. He's 8 now, but you have to give him, you can do this or you can do that. And he will, if you don't make the best choice, I will have to make another choice.
Yes.
It is what it is.
But that's different than saying, this hurt me more. No. You get to make a decision. You know, you get to decide that you're going to get up and go brush your teeth.
Or not.
Yes.
That also means then that I get to decide what will happen to you as a result of not brushing said teeth. Well, you guys, I hope you've enjoyed our conversation today. You know, as always, I think it's going to go one way, it turns another. And the biggest takeaway today that I have gotten is that there is no condemnation. We do the best we can. And you know what? There is sufficient grace for all the things and all the areas that as parents we can't cover, or the things we mess up, or our own issues that we're dealing with. God's grace is sufficient over our lives. His grace is sufficient over our children's lives to cover all of that. So even though there may be some little lies you tell your kids, His grace is sufficient to cover you and to cover them and protect their hearts. And you know what? Ain't God good?
Yes, He is.
Oh, I tell you. Thank you. Well, family, we're going to sign off for today. If there's other topics you'd like to hear us talk about, drop me an email at Lori@cheflorious.com. Be sure to watch my cooking programs. I always got something new going. And we will talk to you next time right here on the Calibama Talking podcast. I am Chef Lorious, everybody's auntie.
Mama VJ, community grandma.
Bye, guys.